First big winter storm of the season is expected this weekend, and local law enforcement is advising people to take caution if they have to go on the roads. Wood County Sheriff Rick Woodyard said the most important thing is to stay home if the roads become hazardous. If you must go out, he says to take caution while on the roads. Do not use cruise control on slippery or icy roads. Make sure you have at least half a tank of gas. Give yourself plenty of time to get where you need to go, and do not speed. Woodyard says to expect delays in emergency response time due to the weather.
Expect delays in emergency response because generally, especially when we have our first snows or bad storms, we have a lot of crashes, especially on the interstate. So a lot of the emergency crews and personnel are tied up in other areas, and also it gets prioritized. So if we have an accident on the highway with injuries, we respond to those first, along with other first responders, more so than a car in a ditch.
Vienna Police Chief Carl Powell also said to clear heavy snow off of your car. Heavy snow that isn't removed may impair your vision or break off and hit cars behind you.